Lubbock is guaranteed to have a new mayor for the first time in 6 years after the upcoming municipal election. There are 5 candidates vying for the seat. Tonight, they will answer questions about key community issues, many of which were submitted by citizens.
Candidates, tell us why you are running for mayor of Lubbock. And we'll start with you, Mr. Garza.
Major Garza here. Thank you so much for being here. Why am I running for mayor? The reality is somebody's going to be mayor, right? And I started right there. So, you get involved, turn 18, and there's things that's going on within your community. And people promise stuff and over, I mean, not just Lubbock, not, around local, state, federal. People say stuff and then they don't follow through. So why does that happen? And you sit there and you get upset because you vote for these people that promise change. And then if there's a little bit of change, it's not what they said was going to happen. And Lubbock, you can go back to Lubbock and see that's happening. And I've been doing this, because the position of mayor is one of leadership. That's all it is, in parliamentary procedure, if you want to get technical about it. Joining the military was the first thing I did out of high school because I didn't have any money. I'm a poor migrant worker in the fields, cotton. That's all I knew, and that's all I was expected to do. I was going to graduate and drive a tractor. That was like your promotion. Joining the military after 27 years, I've got a master's degree in human resources, it's a management degree, specialization in human resources, and a bachelor's in business. All that made me a stronger person to be a strong businessman and be a strong military leader. Again, that's what Lubbock is about. The mayor position is being the leader, the figurehead. It's not somebody who pounds, who says, this is what we're going to do and we're going to do it. It's just the figurehead. And the position is you are the leader. You represent the city of Lubbock. That's what I want to bring. My experience where the military, where you had to keep men alive, where you had to keep resources maintained. That's what the city has, and that's what I want to do, be the leader of the mayor of Lubbock. Thank you.
Candidates, how closely have you followed city council meetings and developments in the past?
As far as following, I lived in Wolford, and that's where I got started really with politics because of changes that were going on that I didn't think were right. And I started reaching out to Wolford City Council. And then we moved to Lubbock only because we had to move from our house. Everything was growing in Wolford. And I got out of there, moved to Lubbock, and I started following Lubbock because that was our new, politicians. But I had been following because they kind of affect Wolford. I mean, we're in Lubbock County, so things that happen in Lubbock happen in Lubbock County and happen to all of us. So we're kind of all in one big family. So I automatically been following for over 15 years that I've been involved with some politicians. I even have emailed. And I'll tell you, I don't get responses back. So if anybody in the city council has ever emailed you or the mayor, that's why I'm here, because I got tired that you reach out to them. And if they're doing it to me, they're probably doing it to other people. And it could be something that's insignificant, or it could be something major, some disagreement or something that you would like them to do, address, and they fail to do that. And we've been struggling with the bricks. I mean, everybody bricks, or no bricks. That's just one issue, but you compound that. What has our city council been doing? If we have to go back 20 years and we're still struggling with the same problems, it tells me that when you look at the debt, $300 million, is that real money? That's a lot of money. When you look at the debt, $1 billion, that's a lot of debt, and then you keep adding more projects, that you were going up to $2 billion. That comes from us, from our properties. And right now people are complaining about their taxes. That's why I'm here.
The next question is, if elected, what would your priorities be as mayor?
I'd like my priority to be taxes. Now, the city council doesn't have much because if you ask right now about taxes, they're going to say, well, it's set by that and it's set by that, and you go to the department and they'll say, well, it's state law, and then you go to the state and they'll say, well, it's a comptroller. So everybody's pushing the buck, and nobody's responsible, and that's not design, okay? So that somebody doesn't lose their job as the mayor because they didn't lower the taxes, or somebody doesn't lose their job. Charles Perry's at the state; he doesn't lose his job because he didn't do nothing. But all of our politicians are going to tell us that they're doing something. So that would be a priority: taxation, and how you target that is you got to make a big fuss about that. You just got to be hammering and hammering and hammering because we're all paying a lot of taxes, all right? I've deployed so many times to another country, and I see the misery in those countries. We don't have that, but if we continue taking your money and spending it on these great ideas, because they're great ideas, everybody has something that needs to happen, all right? We'd like to do this, we'd like to do this. But when you look at that, all those great ideas, we're $1 billion in debt. And then if you look forward, we're $2 billion in debt. So the further we keep going, and you're paying those taxes. So again, what's the priority? Taxation. You need to attack that, and you need to hit it hard, because everybody's doing, no, go see them. We're just following the law. Go dispute your taxes, and they're just going to give you a bill and say, sucks for you. We didn't set the rules. So that's what I'd like to really target, and I can't stress that enough because I'm paying over $7,000 in property tax. That's a primary, and we have to pay taxes. All right, we got to pay the police. So I'm not trying to say that we need to fund our government.
A bond package that would have funded needed road repairs throughout the city failed during last year's November election. That work is still needed. This one comes from a citizen-submitted question. How will you see infrastructure projects through completion, and how else could the city's infrastructure be improved?
As far as the bonds for roads, so I'm trying to target taxes and our neighbors. Again, if you vote for something, you're foisting something on your neighbors. So let's say a bond passed, and I know the sheriff bond for monies to the county passed. Those monies are foisted upon the folks who didn't want that bond to pass. Through our taxes, our city government should fix the roads. All right. And like I said, there's a lot of ideas out there, and people are putting them up there, and they get put in the budget and they become priorities, because once you start allocating funds, you can't just pull them out, because then, why did you start this project and then you half funded it? I mean, we do that all the time. But again, we're $1 billion in debt, and you go forward and now you're $2 billion in debt, and that is nowhere near to stopping. So again, our road bond should have been, our roads and infrastructure should be paid from our property taxes. And because we're doing all these wonderful projects, we don't have enough funding for the core. Our government has a function, and it has to maintain our citizens. We keep talking about public safety, public safety, public safety. The city council can't control public safety. Those laws come from the state. Our police officers, they're doing their jobs based on state law, and guess what? The United States Constitution. That's what their rules are. The United States Constitution and the laws that the state of Texas passes and puts on our police officers. So if the jobs of our police officers are tough, it's because somebody else put them in that position. For example, you commit a crime, it has to be over $100 before they'll come and get you.
Lubbock has a rich religious heritage. Those roots tell us that the community is judged by the powerful within. It's not, but by the conditions of its poor and powerless. That's how it's judged. What specific plans do you have to improve the conditions of the living poor and the powerless in our city?
So we're mixing religion, and I believe in Jesus Christ. And we're not. I don't think that question is mixing it, but I don't want people to get the idea that I'm promoting one or not the other. Why are people poor? And then homelessness is you see homelessness, and I don't. I've got a friend who's a Texas Ranger, and he told me over and over again, who said, some people are poor by choice, and some people are poor because of something happened. And then again, our taxes are too high, folks, and we're in debt. How do you drive? So let me draw you a scenario. We're in East Lubbock, and it's the poorest neighborhood in Lubbock. Let's fix Lubbock where it's nice brick homes and all that. Do you think the folks in East Lubbock would be able to live in a nice home for maybe the first year, and then their taxes would skyrocket, and they would have to sell their homes and move out? It's a great idea, but what are our unintended results? Because we want to help the poor, right? The Bible tells us that. Who's going to be first? Is it going to be the wealthy, or the first going to be first? So how do you balance that? Because again, our taxes are too high, and we have to prioritize the budget and we got so many projects going on. I keep reminding y'all that we're billions of dollars in debt, and you push that forward, it's even more. How do you take care of the poor and then also say we gotta do the Overton addition? Keep it better, because it affects everybody. Everybody would love downtown. It's a noble idea to develop downtown, but then you have people in the east side saying, what about me? What about my roads that are dirt? I have to travel so much to go to the church, and so much dirt to get to the church. So anyway, it's a good idea, but we need to think about that, how we marry those together.
We've seen many changes in Lubbock's utility services in recent years, including Lubbock Power and Light's transition to the ERCOT power grid. This is another submitted question. What changes, if any, would you like to see at LP&L, as we will soon transition to a customer choice market?
So as far as LP&L, I'll give you a little history, not to make anybody mad, but you can go back to Mayor Tom Martin, may he rest in peace. He's the one who bought out XL wiring within the city, and that was going to be a good deal. That triggered something. It triggered the ERCOT system, because we follow state and federal laws. We don't follow Lubbock laws. So Lubbock can have their policies and procedures, but they have to follow state law, and they have to follow federal law. There's something called the EPA. They control, we're talking about coal, we're talking about gas, we're talking about nuclear. XL wanted to make a deal with Lubbock at the time of all this mess, so they can continue sending cheap energy. They make it at Tolk, Muleshoe, and other places. And they wanted to make a deal to continue providing even after they bought them out. Lubbock failed to do that. This is the city council failed to make a deal with the provider of energy. LP&L makes zero energy, nothing, and you've been paying for LP&L. And if you look at your bill, they're charging you other stuff, and that's primarily what they do. Zero generation happens at LP&L, and it hasn't happened for like 20 years. And a lot of people don't know that. They think that it's a good deal. Why do we have LP&L? Again, we follow state law, we follow federal law. Now here is where we follow the city charter of Lubbock. That's why LP&L exists, because it's in the charter and you can't violate the city charter. So one problem is that it exists. You can change the charter, and that would take some heartaches. But anyway, I'm at the South Plains Cooperative, and my neighbor who sold me the house, he's on LP&L, and his is so high. So anyway, that's our problem, and it's more convoluted. It's not a simple issue.
The next question, if you are elected mayor, how would you encourage residential and commercial development in our economically disadvantaged communities, like those in North and East Lubbock?
For time reasons, I'm going to add to that. How do you balance that with growth in newer parts of town?
Yeah, So again, we have to focus again on taxes because I don't think people understand, and I know you do, but it's your neighbors, it's everyone else. So we want to grow Lubbock, right? That's a good thing. And then we want to bring the poverty-stricken areas, and that's a good thing. At the end of the day, man, we're killing ourselves. How many of you like to pay taxes? I mean, when you go to Walmart, do you ever tell them, hey, put an extra 10% on there in taxes so that I can do my part? You know, most of us, we're paying for our goods and services, and that's enough. It's when it's a mismanagement that happens, you know, at all levels, because there's a lot of wonderful, good ideas. But do we chase all of those good ideas in sense that we're going to make it better? One of those ideas is taxing rental cars, right? And that's a good idea. We'll take money from people who are renting cars and we'll take this percentage and do good things for Lubbock. Again, how many of you like to pay taxes? That's not something good. That's something bad. It's something negative. I don't think that generates more taxes. I think if we were to lower our taxes, I remember living in Plainview. I graduated from a small town, Kittiquake, we used to come to Lubbock because the taxes were 6 point something. Right now we're like 8.25. That 2 point something is a killer when you're spending $100 or $200 in groceries. And then if you need to spend a night at a hotel, oh, here's your little extra because we're doing good things for Lubbock, and you hear it on this table. That's a good thing. That's a good thing that we're stealing your extra money because we're going to fund new development and old development. And again, it's an idea, it's a philosophy. I don't think it works. I think it punishes people because most of us don't like to pay taxes. We're going to pay taxes because we need essential services. And those monies, if you manage them correctly, they should be able to do the things we need done.
All right, again, in the interest of time, I'm going to expedite us to our last question. Lubbock is an increasingly diverse city. What would it mean to you to represent both citizens who agree with you and those who see things differently?
So diversity means a lot of things for a lot of people, ideas and our skin color. And that would be I think for Lubbock to elect a minority. And look at this table. There's a bunch of minorities. Why did a bunch of minorities decide to represent Lubbock this time? You know, and honestly, folks, we got to blame all of us because one, minorities don't reach out and try to run for offices because they're afraid. We're afraid. You know why? Because we might lose because if you look at the population, it's white in Lubbock. You know, that's not a bad thing. All right. But the percentages, you know, when you look at, how many Hispanics, how many, and then the socioeconomic, you know, you have some rich black folks here. You have some rich white folks and you have some rich Hispanics, you know, and then a bunch of people, you know, throughout the system. So this office is about representing everyone. And we keep saying things like, you know, the platitudes, we'll all come together, we'll do this. We all have an agenda, folks. Everyone has an agenda, you know. Folks in East Lubbock want to fix East Lubbock. Folks downtown want to fix downtown. And the budget, and I keep talking about taxes, and, you know, Sanders just said we can't lower your taxes. We can lower your taxes if we fight, and we got to attack the state level and we got to attack the federal level. We're $30 trillion at the federal level in debt. That's also our debt. I said we were $1 billion and then $2 billion. If you go a little bit further, that's our debt. So we're spending all these wonderful monies that I think Thomas Jefferson said that your lives will be better basically when you stop trusting the government, because the government is telling you, give us your money and don't worry about anything. We'll take care of you. How has that worked out for us, folks? That's pretty tough. So anyway, we need to, the taxes we take from you, we're stealing them from you. We voluntarily need them to pay for core services. And then how you allocate those so that they'll do more bang for your buck. You don't need to pay a businessman to come here to make more business. They know I'm a businessman.
For more information on voting, visit votelubbock.org. And for more local election news coverage, visit ttupublicmedia.org. Candidates, we want to thank you for participating in tonight's West Texas Town Hall.
Also, we want to thank you for coming out to this forum and being a part of this discussion that we've been having. Thank you.